All right, welcome back. We're going to cover 1.2, solving equations in distributive property. So to start with, we need to talk about what it means to distribute. To distribute is really just to multiply. You're taking whatever's on the outside and multiplying it to what's inside the parentheses. So here I have 3 times b, which is 3b. Moving to the next part, I have 3 times f, which is 3f. And then I still have this term over here, so I have to take 3 times s, which is 3s. So once again, you're just taking whatever's outside of the parentheses and multiplying it to each term inside of the parentheses. So in the next example, I have negative 2 times x, which is negative 2x. Then I have negative 2 times negative 3, which gives me positive 6. And last, I have negative 2 times positive y, which is negative 2y. And that's simplified. That's as far as we can take that. The next thing we need to know is what like terms are. We have to be able to combine like terms. So like terms are the same variable and the same exponent. For instance, here I have 3x plus 5x. That's the same variable, and in both cases, that's x to the first power. Okay, so I have 3x plus 5x is 8x. Combining those two terms. Looking over here, 2x and negative x, those are both just x to the first power. So those are like terms. I can combine those. 2x minus x is just 1x, or just x. So here it is combined. 2y does not have a like term, so it just gets tacked on the end. So this expression simplified is just x plus 2y. All right, let's try our own example. So here I have a 3x. So then I look for any other terms that just have an x. So here I have negative 5x. This has an x, but it also has a y. It has to be identical. The variable part has to match. So because it has a y, I can't combine it. So here I have 3x minus 5x, which is negative 2x. And then I have 4xy and 3xy. So 4xy plus 3xy gives me 7xy. Okay. So looking at our last example on this page, I have parentheses. Anytime I have parentheses, I need to start by distributing. Remember, that's just to multiply. So 12 times x is 12x. 12 times 3 is going to give me plus 36. And then I have a minus 5x here. And I'm just going to bring that down. That's not in parentheses, so I don't multiply it by anything. Drop it down. These two are now like terms. They both have an x. So 12x minus 5x is going to give me 7x. And I'm going to bring down the plus 36 because it has no like terms to combine with. That's my simplified final answer. All right. Let's try some more. So looking at the next example, I'm going to start out by looking for any terms that match this first one. So I have a b squared. I also have a 2b squared. It's the same variable with the same exponent. So I can combine those. I can't combine it with this because this doesn't have a squared. So combining these, I have 1b squared plus 2b squared, which gives me 3b squared. Then I have a 13b, but there's no other b's without exponents, so I'm going to bring down 13b. And the same with 13. There's nothing to combine it with, so I'm going to drop down the 13. And that is as simplified as we can make it. We've combined everything we can. Looking at the next one, I'm going to look through. I'm going to start with the highest power just to make my answer look a little nicer. So the highest power here is the a squared. Make sure you keep the negative sign here with it. That's part of this number. This is negative 6a squared. There's no other a squareds in here, so I'm going to write negative 6a squared. Then I have 7a. Now look for any other a's. I have negative 2a. 7a minus 2a will give me a positive or plus 5a. And then I have this plus 4, and it has no one to hang out with, nothing to combine with, so I'm going to put plus 4 there. And that one is done. Move over and try it one more time, only this time I have parentheses, so I have to start by distributing. Remember, distributing is just multiplying. So 2 times 3x is 6x. Multiply to the first part, now I have to go to the second. 2 times negative y is negative 2y. Drop down my plus 15x. Now I'm checking for like terms. Well, I have a 6x and I have a 5x. So those are like terms. I can put those together. 6x plus 5x is 11x. Now I've combined all my like terms and I am finished. There's my answer. Okay. Now let's try an equation. So looking at this equation, I have parentheses. So the first thing I want to do is distribute. So 3 times 5x is 15x. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. And I'm going to bring down the negative 10x. Drop down my 5x plus 5. Okay, now I don't have any like terms on the left-hand side, so I leave that alone. When we say combining like terms, we're talking about terms that are on the same side. So now looking at the right-hand side, I have a 15x and a negative 10x. 15x minus 10x would leave me with 5x. Combining my like terms. Okay. Now, my next step would be to subtract 5x from both sides. Those cancel. Now that leaves me with 5 equals negative 12. If you remember from last time, if we get rid of our variable and we have something that does not make sense, we have no solution. Okay. There's my answer. All right, looking at the next one, I'm going to start by distributing or getting rid of those parentheses, multiplying that 3 through. Or in middle school, we call it firework. So we have 3 times 2b, which is 6b, and 3 times negative 1, which is negative 3. Bring everything else down. Okay, next we're going to get our like terms together. So on the left-hand side, I don't have any other b's, but I have negative 3 minus 7, which is negative 10. So I have 6b minus 10 equals, there's no like terms over here, so I have 6b minus 10. Now subtracting the 6b, those cancel on both sides, and I'm left with negative 10 equals negative 10. Remember, if what we end up with is true and we get rid of the variable, then that means we have infinitely many solutions. Or we can say A, R, N, all real numbers. Okay. One more equation to try here. And we're going to start by getting rid of these parentheses. To get rid of the parentheses, we have to distribute. Distributing is just multiplication. So 6 times y is 6y. 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. Equals, moving to the other side, I have 2 times 10 is 20. And 2 times 3y is 6y. Once again, I can cancel those. I can subtract the 6y from each side. And I'm left with negative 30 equals 20, which we know is not true, so we have no solution. All right. Now we're going to move on to a couple word problems just to give us some practice. Okay, the first one is consecutive integers. before we get started, consecutive means in a row. And integers are positive or negative whole numbers. So consecutive integers would be like 3, 4, 5, or 12, 13, 14. Those are 3 numbers in a row. So it doesn't have to be 3, but in this problem we're looking for 3. We know what sum means. So sum means addition. So I'm going to go through here and underline my important information. The sum, which we said addition, of 3 consecutive, 3 in a row integers is equals 372. Our numbers are almost always important in a math problem. And we want to know what are the integers. So I'm going to put a box around what it's asking me to do. So I have 3 numbers in a row that equals 372. Well, I have to have a way of representing the first one, so maybe I'll call the first one n. Then the next one would be that plus 1 more. So here's my second. The one to follow that would be that plus the first one plus 2. So you can think, if the first one was 10, the second one would be 10 plus 1, which is 11. The next one would be 10 plus 2, which is 12. So 10, 11, 12 are consecutive numbers. That would make sense. But we want it to equal 372 when we add them, when the sum is 372. So I need to add these terms together. I have n plus 1 plus the last term we said was n plus 2. So I'm going to start by combining like terms. I have n and n and n. 1n plus 1n plus 1n is 3n. And then I have 1, so I'm taking care of all of these. Then I have 1 plus 2, which is 3, equals 272. Nope, sorry, 372. Okay, so then my next step is to subtract that 3 from both sides. So remember, we take care of the addition and subtraction before we take care of the multiplication and division. So I have 3n equals 269. Divide by 3, and I get n equals 123. Remember, that is only my first number. I want to know what all 3 of them are. So if the first one's 123, the next one would be 124, and the next one would be 125. To check, I can make sure I have 3 numbers in a row, add them back together, and we do in fact get 372 if you do that. All right, we have one more problem to try. We have a Surface Pro that is or equals $7.99, and you have saved $300, and you get paid $15 an hour. That an hour tells me it depends on how many hours you work. So I have $15 times how many of our hours we work is how much money we're making from that. To mow your neighbor's lawn. We want to find out how many hours we'll have to work to have enough money to buy the Surface Pro 3. Show your linear model. So our linear model is just our equation used to solve the problem. So in this case, we are starting out with $300 plus we make $15 for each hour we work. And we want to know when that is or when that's equal to $7.99. So this is really just a two-step problem like we did last time. So we're going to start by subtracting that 300, move it out of our way. Gives me 15h equals $4.99. Then to undo this multiplication, we divide. And we get h equals 33.26, and then we want to make sure, 26 repeating, and we will make sure we put a label on our word problem, so this is hours. So here is our answer, and our linear model is our equation or inequality that we started with. And that's it. That is 1.2. Let me know if I can be any help.